Hello, and welcome to what successful government contractors do to build and maintain a healthy pipeline. My name is Shirley Collier. I am the president of Scale to Market. I am a serial technology entrepreneur, speaker, author, and business growth consultant specializing in federal business development. My colleague and co-presenter today is Chuck Doyle, the GovBD product manager with REI Systems. Chuck is a business development advisor who implements technology to better manage the pursuit of opportunities in the federal space.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
So we are broadcasting from the greater Washington, D.C. area and welcome our listeners from around the country. This is a live webinar. We will mute the attendees so that background noises can be kept to a minimum. And because we have people attending this as both a live webinar and it is being recorded for availability on demand, we ask that you send your questions to us by email. Please send them to questions@scale2market.com. And we will distribute a link to our slides and to the recording after we finish the live webinar. So our agenda today is that we're going to be examining the topic from two perspectives. I will represent the business development management perspective, and Chuck will represent the systems or tools perspective. We will first give you context for our discussion today, describing the type of data that should be captured in a healthy pipeline, how to evaluate opportunities before submitting a proposal, what information BD managers should be monitoring, and finally, how to know that you have the right tool for the job. We hope to have a few minutes at the end to address your questions. So again, please email them to questions@scale2market.com. So let's get started. Today's webinar is one of a series of programs that bring together the federal marketplace's best minds in business development systems, marketing, law, accounting, finance, data analytics, human resources, and a number of other professions. Our webinars are brief but content-rich, focusing on what you need to know and practice in order to grow your business. Now, Growth Masters also refers to you, to federal contracting CEOs and their executive teams who are focused on profitable growth. So, Chuck, let's begin our discussion with the basics. What data should be captured in a healthy pipeline?
Thanks, Shirley, and that's a great question. And really what I would like to do first off here is kind of baseline the importance of organizations maturing their business development efforts. Oftentimes, organizations establish themselves in the public sector space with a couple of quick wins, then experience some significant growth over a short amount of time. Things can happen so quickly that one of the most significant aspects of success, generating a long-term revenue stream, can go neglected. I find a number of organizations that are still managing BD efforts using Excel documents or some basic CRM, which present a variety of challenges, and those can include lost opportunities due to missing key dates, therefore, losing that long-term revenue interest, limited visibility into the pipeline health, where there is little to no accountability with regards to the business development efforts, and then a heavy usage of time creating and managing that information, which is really, the misuse of valuable resources. All of this kind of leads into inaccurate reporting, make it very, very difficult to make those good business decisions. For the folks that are on the call, if you experience one or a few of these challenges, you may be past due on evaluating solutions that may be available to your team. In addition to that, we all know that there's a ton of data sources which are well known in the marketplace. I recommend using a combination of government-run and subscription-based tools to gather that information. I'm happy to discuss what I personally recommend by sending your questions to that email ID, questions@scale2market.com.
So, Chuck, you're referring to sources of information about agencies and their upcoming solicitations, right?
Yeah, exactly right. There's a lot of data available to companies regarding government's past, current, and future solicitations. Really, I think the specific thing to take into consideration here is what are the companies doing with that information, which is most important.
So what are the secrets from your perspective and your experience of successful contractors?
What I see, top performing BD teams, they're really utilizing tools designed for the public sector, but they are doing things a little bit differently to effectively manage their pipelines. First, implementing business development infrastructure is a key here. This helps establish best practices, which also provides a historic reference to opportunity pursuit and takes back ownership of any BD-related information. Next is a long-term tracking of opportunity. I do recommend tracking opportunities as much as possible, 12 months, 24, or even 36 months outside of an expected award. Obviously, increasing the number of opportunities tracked is going to help you be a little bit more effective. It's going to have some combination of short-term and those long-term programs, which increase the quantity of key dates and action items which will need to be executed.
And Chuck, if I might interject here, a healthy pipeline also includes opportunities that have been properly evaluated or qualified, which I'm going to talk about later.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a key to all of this as well. The last point that I'd like to kind of display here is, managing the complexity of the federal procurement process is key. If you are able to build in automation, approval processes, effective bid, no bid decisions based on easily referenceable data is always going to lend to increasing your P-win over time. So surely now that we've figured out what information we should be capturing regarding upcoming opportunities, can you recommend some of the industry best practices for actually evaluating those opportunities?
Yes. So there are a number of things. The first thing I suggest my clients do is to make a list of scenarios that are definite disqualifiers, or what we call knockout factors. And these may range from we have had no contact with the federal decision makers, or the opportunity does not meet our minimum total contract value threshold. So, for example, a company may say that unless the opportunity is at least $1 million a year, it's not worth the effort. Or an immediate disqualifier might be that neither we nor our teammates have the necessary socioeconomic certifications that is a requirement. Now, you might be saying, of course, this is very logical and everybody does this, but if there is more than one person doing business development in your firm, there is likely to be disagreement or misunderstanding of how to immediately eliminate opportunities. On any given day, there are over 2 million solicitations for products and services coming from the federal government. It's very easy to get caught up in the lure of the shiny penny or instant gratification. So having a list of knockout factors that the whole BD team agrees to reduces clutter in your pipeline and distractions, leaving more time for the BD team to concentrate on strategic relationships and more profitable opportunities that will pay off in the long run. So there are about 20 factors that should be considered. So after filtering out the disqualifiers, there are a number of other factors that companies take into consideration. So some of these are the ability to perform the work. And we need to be honest here. People in sales are always more confident than those in the firm who actually deliver the products and services on what the company can actually do. This natural friction, however, can be good if managed properly. BD folks can inform the company of where the real opportunities lie in the marketplace, and the delivery folks can educate BD on the challenges and risks associated with certain opportunities. And a company's sweet spot is probably somewhere in the middle. Another factor is analysis of market intelligence that we've gathered. So market intelligence on the incumbent, competitors, regulatory constraints, geographical or facility requirements, and so forth. And this is a key factor. Successful government contractors are constantly gathering and analyzing data around the ecosystem, quote unquote, in a target agency. That ecosystem may consist of the prime contractors, subs, suppliers, regulatory agencies surrounding that particular agency. But market intelligence is also the requirements of the opportunity, the contract vehicle that is being procured under, the decision makers and influencers in the federal agency. This discipline of gathering and analyzing market intelligence is probably the single greatest contributor to improving your win ratio. Another factor is customer relationships. Do we have any of those that we can leverage? Or can be relationships with other contractors or program employees, contracting office employees, small business employees, small business office employees. You know, people buy from people they trust, and they trust people they know. So if the customer doesn't know you, you are highly unlikely, that they are highly unlikely to buy from you, particularly for larger procurements. Federal decision makers are risk averse. It's very risky to buy from an unknown entity. So this category also includes the extent to which your company has been marketing to the decision makers and influencers for the given opportunity under consideration. So do they perceive your company to be a thought leader in the industry? Have you spoken at industry events? Have you received recognition for your expertise or past performance? These all go into the equation for determining whether or not you should pursue an opportunity. Another factor is pricing requirements, of course. Some IT companies have a policy of no LPTA, no lowest price technically acceptable. Others love LPTA. It's their basic business model. So this evaluation factor is important, and it usually takes tapping into other resources in the company outside of business development early on in your evaluation of the opportunity to determine if your company can be competitive. The other factor to take into consideration is what are the qualifications of the personnel necessary to perform the work? Do you have to hire, or do you have ample resources on staff? Now, most small businesses don't have staff sitting on the bench, so recruiting efforts and costs should be considered in your analysis. In some industries, there is a huge labor shortage, particularly in the greater Washington area for IT labor. So before pursuing some opportunities, a considered discussion with the recruiting team is usually wise. Another factor as to whether or not you want to pursue a particular opportunity is, do you have the proposal resources? Now, this is usually a lower weighted factor because proposal writing can be outsourced, but proposal management, meaning pulling together win themes and corralling the technical and managerial staff, is hard to do, and in my opinion, that's difficult to outsource. But if the company knows that they will be looking at an intensive proposal effort in, say, 3 to 6 months, they can begin gathering those resources. And the last category of evaluation for particular opportunities is the strategic value of that opportunity. Will this lead to any additional opportunities, or is it a one-off? Business development is expensive, especially in the federal marketplace. According to the annual government contractors survey, a small business spends approximately 8% of their revenue on business development and proposal costs. 8%, that's a lot. Successful government contractors aim for a 40% proposal win rate, which means you write 10 proposals and you win 4. Companies that just respond to solicitations usually have a 10% win rate at best, meaning they write 10 proposals and win 1, And this is very expensive, and for small businesses, it's not sustainable. So after you have identified all of your factors for evaluation, the next element is to weight. To put a weight on each one of the evaluation factors. And that weight varies by company. So there's not one weighting system that applies to all companies. Some young companies, for example, tend to take more risk than more established companies. The next step in the process is a narrative that corresponds to the score. And I'm going to be showing you a spreadsheet in a minute that's going to better exemplify what I mean by this. But for each factor, there should be a narrative that corresponds to the score. So this ensures that there is some consistency in allocating a score among all the people that are doing the scoring. Developing the narrative itself really is the most important exercise. You know, I've been managing salespeople for a long time. Most of them will balk and complain when you say that you're calling a meeting to discuss how to evaluate opportunities. First, they hate meetings, and secondly, they already have all the answers, of course. But my experience is that by pulling the sales team and the sales support staff together quarterly to update your decision-making matrix is invaluable. Even the most reluctant BD folks admit that afterwards. And then there's a numerical score. So once a score and a weight are determined and multiplied, a score is allocated to the opportunity. And your company should have a minimum acceptable score on opportunities in order to proceed with those opportunities. So I have here a spreadsheet that is, I know this is hard to see, and I'm willing to share the live spreadsheet with you. So bear with me as I go through this for just a minute, and then I'll give you an opportunity to get a live copy of this with the formulas embedded. So these are the qualifiers that I was just talking about, and then the score across the top, and then for each one of the categories, there's a narrative, and then the score goes in this column, multiplied by the weight in this column, and then there's a total, and this is the grand total. And so each person that is responsible for evaluating a given opportunity. So the knockout factors or disqualifiers are at the top, and then the total for a given opportunity is down here. Now, we call this an opportunity analysis decision matrix, not a bid, no bid matrix. And we do this because the thinking and analysis happens way before you're considering whether to submit a proposal. And this analysis for any given opportunity needs to be done several times as the opportunity progresses through your funnel or pipeline. Really is the thinking and discussions that surround this spreadsheet that are the most important. I will usually ask that each member use the spreadsheet to collect their thoughts on specific opportunities and then to gather and discuss why they chose to rate those opportunities the way they did. After discussion, the team then comes to a consensus on which opportunities to pursue, and it greatly improves the quality of your pipeline. So again, if you would like a copy of the live spreadsheet with the calculations embedded, please send me an email. Send your request to questions@scale2market.com, and I'll be sure to get that to you.
Yeah, Shirley, this is such an important discipline. You know, I find a lot of companies are throwing a lot of opportunities in the pipeline thinking that quantity alone is going to improve their win rate. Can you shed some light on some of the other tips that you would recommend for business development management folks to kind of improve that P-win?
Yes, just a few here. There are really three major aspects to managing business development: setting goals for your team, monitoring their activity on an ongoing basis to ensure they're making progress towards those goals, and then analyzing the actual results. You know, when I'm advising my clients about the business development data that they should be reviewing on a regular basis, I always include a comparison of the qualified pipeline to the backlog of current projects, weighted revenue projections going out at least 3 years, opportunity loss analysis, including a loss percentage by agency, because we want to know which agencies are not buying what we're selling, and then BD cost effectiveness. Are we making progress towards our 40% win rate? And what are our customer acquisition costs? So, Chuck, now that you know some of my expectations as a consultant and a BD manager, what are the features I should be looking for in software tools that are specifically focused on federal business development?
Well, Shirley, this is really something that I concentrate on. It's pretty much my entire day, every day. So I'm completely familiar with what is in the market and what is out there to be shared. In my personal opinion, all of these tools should be cloud-based, featuring some basic CRM functionalities, providing the capacity to track activities like task meetings, call plans, and the ability to report on all of those items. More specifically, the things that contractors should be looking for in a solution outside of the basic CRM functionality really kind of involve around that Shipley business development lifecycle. You should be able to include the means of identifying opportunity, moving through the capture phase, including bid, no bid analysis support, providing proposal management aspects as well. While every organization is different, like a pure out-of-the-box solution is not really going to work. Systems should maintain the configurability to adapt to those unique business processes that have led to success over time internally. You should be able to build in that automation or process approval as well as profiles to control read and write access. And that would be to generate activity in the fields that you're tracking or just having access to reports and dashboards. Integrations are key to saving time and improving data accuracy. And then some sort of agency structure to provide a clear view into the individual account views that folks may be working in.
Now, Chuck, most of my clients, small businesses and large businesses alike, are forming teaming agreements to go after increasingly large procurements. So what can I expect software to help me with regarding teaming?
Yeah, that's a huge piece of the puzzle in our market. Implementing technologies, helping assist organizations keep track of those technical documents with regards to the relationship, like NDAs, TAs, but then as well it should start to produce some analysis contributing to the effectiveness of those teams. So you should be able to monitor, wins, losses, and as well as the competitive landscape that is associated with the pursuit of opportunities. In another note, the revenue forecasting that I know that you had mentioned, you should be able to discern between a total contract value and your organization's actual take-home. So that's really where those teaming structures or a number of awards really affect that actual revenue forecasting. And those should come in the flavor of flexible dashboards and reports. And you really need to concentrate on having a space to really build out. Another thing that you had mentioned previously is those win themes or tracking the key personnel and like buyer profiles. So as those opportunities start to mature, you really have an understanding of how to approach winning that opportunity. Resource allocation is a great aspect. So really to break the pipeline out by opportunity owners or identify which capture managers or proposal managers may have some availability, or they may be overwhelmed with the amount of work that's coming down their pipe. And the last piece is having a nice calendar functionality helps manage the volume of key dates and action items so you can stay up to date with your responsibilities to the business development efforts. So I imagine if you're able to find a solution that has these requirements and then maybe a little bit more advanced requirements for the growing organizations, they're going to be something to really position yourself for success coming down the future.
This is very informative, Chuck. But before we end, let's share our thoughts on action items from today's discussion so our listeners can begin building a healthy pipeline in 2018.
Yeah, my 3 takeaways here for preparation in 2018 and continued growth for organizations. Really finding the right mix of data sources to find and track opportunities far in advance is going to help position yourself, in the 2 and 3 years outside of award dates. Starting to make bid no decisions based on data regarding resource availability, solution fit, and go-to-market preparedness will also contribute to growth. And then creating your own set of best practices when it comes to your BD efforts. Then find a solution that can create some structure around that. You'll generate the visibility into the pipeline that is required to make good business decisions, and it won't be something that is, kind of put onto the organization, rather developed from within.
And the takeaways that I would like to share are, think of business development as a discipline, not just as relationship building with potential clients. Relationship building is good, but structure and discipline are what really produces results. The second takeaway is to be successful in the federal marketplace, you really have to invest in infrastructure. And what I mean by infrastructure here is people and systems. And they have to be dedicated to the nuances and challenges of winning new business in the federal government. Everyone listening today knows that selling to the federal government is very different than selling in the commercial marketplace. And the third takeaway is that at least one of the people that you invest in should be BD management to provide direction, focus, and accountability. So this ends the formal part of our presentation. We have just a few minutes, and we'd like to take a few questions from our audience. So let's see here. The first question is, what type of effort is required from an organizational standpoint to move from Excel docs to a CRM tool? Chuck, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. With respect to this, it really just kind of depends on the cleanliness of your data and how organized it's been set up. The systems and tools now really can do kind of like a bulk upload of these documents. So really, this is a kind of heavily relying on the cleanliness of the data. And oftentimes, and especially in our situation at GovBD, we do provide a data migration as part of our package. So that's something that you should take a look at as well as when you're evaluating a solution for long-term pipeline tracking. Good.
Let's see, the next question is, how many agencies can one salesperson realistically handle? I'll take that because I get that question quite a bit. Typically what I have seen for small businesses is that one salesperson can handle no more than 3 agencies. But if it's a large agency like Health and Human Services, they can barely handle that. So it really depends upon the size of the agency, but typically no more than 3 agencies per salesperson. Let's see, the next question here is, are there any other criteria I should be concerned with while evaluating system platforms? Chuck, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So I had referenced a little bit previously. A couple of things that I really feel strongly about is a cloud deployment where I think that a lot of the time savings that you're going to achieve from implementing solutions and infrastructure will come from the ability of your business development team to actively update the pipeline as things are changing. So being able to access your information essentially like anytime, anywhere is going to be one of the major concerns there.
Good. Let's take one last question before we end. How large should my pipeline be to produce $1 million in new business? I get this question a lot also, and I try to tell my clients to focus more on quality than quantity. But if we're talking about the top of the funnel, very early stage, typically it should be 10 times the total contract value that you hope. So if you're looking for $1 million, you should have at least $10 million worth of opportunities, qualified opportunities. So time to wrap up now. Chuck, thank you for your incredible insights and advice today.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's been my pleasure, Shirley.
And thank you to all of you who have tuned in from around the country. Please join our mailing list at no cost for more complimentary invaluable information about growing your federal contracting business. Check out our websites for upcoming webinars and white papers dealing with specific issues related to government contracting business development matters. And don't hesitate to contact Chuck or me at any time. Have a good day.